I love hearing about everybody's business ventures. I love hearing people's questions and concerns and thoughts about how they can evolve and grow as individuals. And I love just sharing advice on all aspects of whether it be business or life strategy. It's what I just love to do. It's not why I created this show initially, but the universe just evolved and guided me into this place. And it's something I really, really enjoy doing and get a ton of energy from. And for me, look, I'm also someone who's deeply dedicated to being better and better and better all the time, getting more efficient, more optimized, living more balanced, more happy. Right at the end of the day, that's what we're all chasing here. And one thing I've been on lately, and I've been sharing it with a lot of different people, is my sort of evolved way of the power of the mind and your thoughts and how important they are. And for me, I realized, over time that every single thought counts. Every single thought counts. Every single time you use your mind to create a thought, that ultimately leads towards a decision that you have to make that becomes the experience that you have in the future, right? Again, I say, your thoughts plus your decisions equal your experience. And now you break that apart. You start to look at that's how you ultimately end up developing the future. Everything that happens in the future or what you're experiencing is based off of the thoughts that you had in the past, and they compound on top of each other. So if you're constantly thinking in a negative way, you're basically preparing yourself for a negative future. If you're constantly thinking about things in a positive way and what could be and problem solving in your head and creating in your head, that is what's going to end up being what you experience in the future. Because I was really trying to understand how did I get to a place that I just ended up with such few negative thoughts, right? And even when I would hear myself say it initially, and then people were like, "What's up with you never having any negative thoughts?" It seems impossible. And almost well, that's not. He's just saying that to say it. But the truth is that's the output of how much clarity I have in my existence, how much I've grown and evolved, and how much I've built a life that just doesn't allow me to ever drift into negative places. And then you optimize that, and you end up in a state that you so rarely have negative thoughts. Because what I realized is, look, I lived in 5 places. Right? I was either dwelling and upset. I was living in that negative, right? And you just sit there and you can pick apart everything and it's the oh, woe was me, and if I didn't do that, I could have done this, all of that, or I was hoping and wishing. Oh, if this would just happen. Oh, if I just knew this person. Oh, if this, these are these 2 states where nothing is happening. Nothing. You're not accomplishing anything by dwelling. You're really regressing when you're dwelling and being negative. You're basically moving backwards, right? But if you're hoping and wishing and dreaming, it seems way more fun. It's way more relaxing, gives you way more energy, but it is equally as ineffective because you're just doing nothing. You're just wishing something would be, or you're dwelling. They seem so different, and they are on either ends of the spectrum. But look, they're both serving the same purpose of doing nothing for you, And what I realized is, man, why do I always live in this place of positivity? Is because I don't ever get stuck in either of those places. Because it's you are either attacking problems and you're problem solving, you're either experiencing the present and enjoying what you're doing and living life, or you're creating the future. And for me, I've just been in this perpetual state of, experiencing and creating almost at all times. okay? Unless I'm faced with problems that I have to solve and attack and get out of the way, right? And so what does that ultimately mean? That means that my mind share and my ability to spend time on constantly enjoying my life and or putting energy towards creating the future so that I can experience better life, higher quality of life, more excitement, more success, all of these different things related to my mind and the thoughts that I have. And when I started thinking about that on a deeper level, I just started thinking about like, man, I don't waste much of my thoughts or mind share throughout a day. You know, even if I'm spending time with my wife and kids or just relaxing, or even if I'm in the gym, it's like when I settle down, my mind settles into thinking about stuff that I would like to create or do, or problems or things that I can solve right now through thought experiments before I can go take action on them and bring them into realization. Now, it compounds over time when you're constantly thinking about how to evolve and create a better future for yourself, right? Because you're creating the plans and making mistakes and thinking through other things in your head before you actually take action to do it, you know. And for me, you know, I actually read it in a book called The Science of Getting Rich. I recently read it. I wasn't familiar with the book. CEO of Outstanding Foods told me about it and said, "Hey, it was written in 1910, but it's like truth and philosophy of success." And in one aspect of that book, and it's remarkable, you should read it because it's written in 1910 and it's 100% applicable to finding success at this day and age. It's remarkable testament of a timeless work that doesn't get nearly the credit as something like Think and Grow Rich does, but an aspect inside his philosophy is how important it is for a successful person to constantly be using their free space in their mind to be evolving, creating, and growing at all times. And then when I break that out, and I just think about in general how much that has benefited me, and ultimately how that is, in fact, a gift that I have that allows me to be constantly working, evolving, and growing in my mind, instead of being basically at a dead standstill, hoping and wishing or dwelling and being bummed something didn't happen. You know, and I'm not saying that you aren't going to drift into a place, depending on what's happening into your life, where you don't get pulled into that space and you can't escape it for a while. But if you can just be aware of your mind and your thoughts and just think like, how is this affecting me now and ultimately my future? Because again, you know, the thoughts that you have will lead to the decisions that you make that ultimately equal the experience that you have. And the life that you are living right now, right here today, what you are experiencing is based off of the thoughts you had and the actions that you took on the decisions you made that led you to this moment. And you could break everything down and look at that. And when you begin to understand that your mind is actually the beginning of all of this chain reaction and cause and effect that can lead you in two directions, in a positive direction or a negative direction, you know, you'll really begin to appreciate how important it is to manage the way that you think and get better and better at constantly staying in a state of experiencing and ultimately creating the future. So think about that, you know what I mean? Because we're all just, trust me, we all just want to live in this perpetual state of experiencing the life that we love, enjoy, and a high quality of life. And then guess what? We loved experiencing this. Let's create more of it. That's sort of the state, the perpetual state and rhythm that you want to get into because it absolutely feels amazing.